Hello, everybody. So today what I'm going to be talking about is every wrestling action figure I have and what I think of them as a wrestler. Now, this will include any time in WCW, WWE, AEW, etc. This is the kind of figure we're looking at. This is a DDP one. The 6-inch figures, the higher quality ones. So I'm not counting my Ted DiBiase and Ultimate Warrior figures, which are separately branded. So they do not count. However, I'm going to start with the legends, and then I will go to the more modern day. So we are going to start off, as I've shown, with Diamond Dallas Page, one of the greatest WCW wrestlers of all time, and one of the worst WWE. Now, for those who don't know, Diamond Dallas Page was a multi-time WCW champion back in the 90s, but when he originally debuted in WWE, and honestly, for his whole WWE career, was kind of presented as a joke who got beat up all the time. So, because of his WCW work, I'm going to put him in B tier, right in the middle, because you have one really good career and one really bad career, so they counteract, like yin and yang. So, he will go in the B tier. Now, I don't actually have one, I'm just mentally. Next up, we have the Dead Man, the Undertaker. Now, this is not normal Undertaker. This is 90s Undertaker when he was all spooky and stuff. And not normal spooky Undertaker, weird spooky Undertaker, Ministry of Darkness Undertaker. And this is before he became the true legend that he is. Now, he was already well established in the 90s as a main event talent, but wasn't the Undertaker as we think of him today. Now, obviously, he had a lot of great feuds, amazing matches, and it's kind of wrong not to put him in S, along with the man that he feuded with at WrestleManias 25 and 6, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Now, Shawn Michaels, obviously, been around for, 30 years doing stuff now, maybe a little more. Now, not necessarily wrestling. Obviously, he retired in 2009. We don't talk about the 2018 match. 2010 he retired. And he's currently been working as a producer for NXT, which is one of the best shows in wrestling at the moment. It's actually going on. It just ended right now. But back to Shawn. Again, amazing matches with Undertaker at WrestleManias 25 and 6. Amazing matches otherwise, if you don't count the 2018 match. All in all, amazing wrestler, not the greatest person, but great. So, S tier for him. Next up, we have a guy who is technically a legend. I'll put him in this category. It's going to be Brock Lesnar. Now, you might be saying, what? He's not a legend. He's still active. Well, technically, John Cena is still active, so he isn't a legend. We're just going to put Brock in the legends category, okay? So, Brock Lesnar, obviously, one of the powerhouse wrestlers, came from UFC, obviously, and really has shown, especially when he was young Brock Lesnar and 2014 Brock Lesnar, how ruthless he can be, how mean he can be. All in all, just amazing heel. Honestly, a really fun face when he came back in 2021 as well. So, Brock Lesnar, with all of his matches, accomplishments, will go in S tier. We don't talk about what he did to Kofi Kingston, but still S tier. Next up, we have a man who is also still active, but will definitely be considered a legend, the Masked Luchador, Rey Mysterio. Now, this is 2005 Rey Mysterio, SummerSlam, when he fought Eddie Guerrero for the custody of Dominic. True. But obviously, he's a Hall of Famer just this year. He's WWE champion, World Heavyweight champion, technically. He really revolutionized the lucha business in modern American wrestling and like North American wrestling. Like you see guys now, Penta El Zero Miedo, people like Kalisto back in the day, Sin Cara, really were able to get into major promotions because of Ray's work. So S tier for him, Hall of Famer. Next up, we have the $1 billion princess, and one of the 3 women that I have, Stephanie McMahon. This is young Steph, obviously, and it comes with the women's title. Stephanie is one of the greatest authority figures of all time, obviously being heel Stephanie and face in the early to mid 2000s, and made you, in a time when women in WWE weren't very well treated, she made it cool to be a female wrestler. A tier for Stephanie. She's no Hall of Famer, but great work. Women's Revolution. I don't really have much to say. All right, next up we have a tag team. I'm just going to put them together because I think the same about the two as these characters. We have D'Lo Brown and Kama Mustafa, the Nation of Domination. Now, yes, these two went on to have more successful singles careers. However, I am not counting Kama Mustafa's other two gimmicks, or three gimmicks, or whatever it was, because he was also the Godfather and the Good Father in Right to Censor. I'm just counting his work as Kama Mustafa. And I think the exact same about these two people in the Nation of Domination. They were okay without The Rock. They were pretty good with The Rock. And D'Lo is the more talented of the two as this gimmick. I'm going to put them both in C tier. D'Lo slightly above Kama Mustafa because he had a little more talent at this time. But just, cool. We have this tag team in the division. I've got a little pile of legends going on this box. And lastly, the most well-known legend of all time, I would say, except John Cena. He is the Rattlesnake. He is from Austin, Texas. He is quite stone cold. It is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm just going to say S now because duh. But the man created the Attitude Era. It wasn't Vince. It was Stone Cold. When people think Attitude Era, they think Stone Cold Steve Austin. They don't think Vince McMahon. Well, maybe they do, but they would be wrong. He truly made it cool to like wrestling because you're like, oh, look at this guy. He's this really cool dude who kicks his boss and beats him up and hates his boss and does stuff to his boss's family. In a non-wrestling world, what Stone Cold does to Vince McMahon and his family is really bad. Like, picture this. You're on the news, you're clicking through, and then you have to look away for a second. You overhear on the news, breaking news, a man has been found to have beaten up his boss and his boss's family live on television. Like, whoa, what's going on here? It sounds weird out of context. But Stone Cold is Stone Cold. Watch some of his matches, especially Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, and you'll understand why he's in the S tier. That is all the legends. Now, I'm going to do a most likely poor jump cut from legends to new wrestlers. That was probably pretty bad. I moved around before I did the clap, so it most likely did not translate well. We'll see if I edit this out. So, I'm going to give myself 4 minutes to get through all 12 of these people because I want this video to be somewhat reasonable in length. So, let's go. Seth Rollins, obviously one of the GOATs of modern wrestling. Current World Heavyweight Champion, might lose it by Saturday, we'll see. Great in the Shield, great post-Shield, great in the Authority, great as the Monday Night Messiah-ish. S tier. Omos, obviously the GOAT, my favorite wrestler of all time. Second to none. LA Knight is in second, by the way. S tier. I could go on a 20-minute rant about how good Omos is. Then we have Ronda Rousey, one of my other females. A tier would be good, but she doesn't have promo ability. We had Hangman Adam Page, one of my two AEW figures. Now, I don't watch a lot of AEW. I don't really enjoy the brand. I think it's a good company, but I'm just not that big of a fan. However, Adam Page, I know, is a good wrestler. So, because I don't really know a lot about him, I'm going to put him in A tier because I don't know if he belongs in S. All right, next up we got the big dog, the tribal chief, the current WWE Undisputed Universal Champion of the World, Roman Reigns. It's Roman Reigns. I don't want to put him in S tier, but the work the man has done is S tier. You could make an argument for A tier because of how bad his original work was. I wouldn't debate it. We have my third favorite wrestler, wink, Drew McIntyre. S tier, personally. He carried the company during COVID 2020 to 2021. Was carried by this man. His win at the 2020 Royal Rumble, great. 2021 Elimination Chamber before the terrible ending, great. Amazing guy, amazing wrestler. Kevin Owens, also going to be a Hall of Famer, so S tier. Amazing in NXT, great promo work. You can really work with anybody, honestly, as long as they're not somebody bad, like, I don't know, Hulk Hogan. He's a great guy, S tier. All right, final five. We got the late, great Bray Wyatt as the Fiend here. We're going to put him in A tier. He could have been way better before, his unfortunate passing, but some of his gimmicks and characters were really weird, and they didn't fit him. It wasn't very good. Was not very good. Could have been S if he hadn't passed. And there goes Ronda Rousey. All right, next up we have my last female, Alexa Bliss, is going to go in A tier. Probably a Hall of Famer. Probably a lock, honestly. But I haven't seen enough recently to say anything about it. Now, obviously, she's pregnant, but still. Next up, we have MJF, my other AEW figure. Obviously, the current AEW World Champion. Amazing promo cutter. I'm going to put him in A tier. He should be an S, but I think he takes a few too many shots at WWE as his just promo material. Great promos, though. Next up, we have Baron Corbin. A tier? B tier? I would say B tier. Honestly, really good, but people just don't like the man. The hate is somewhat deserved. 2018 was not very good for him, but he's a good wrestler. Deep Six is really good. End of Days is the greatest finisher. Lastly, we have the artist formerly known as Shinsuke Nakamura. A tier. Could be S, but as Santi has pointed out, cannot deliver on pay-per-view. So that's everybody. Did you like my rankings? Did you think that I went through all those guys way too quick and you want me to go through them again in a shorter video? Well, I will certainly make one if you want me to. Make sure to be a good person. Leave a blue mark that represents this symbol. Turn a red rectangle gray. And have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good dusk, and whatever you can think of, because I'm not going to be original with these anymore, and I'm just going to say goodbye.